Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Hoops podcast. Today, I'm joined by the assistant coach for Mississippi State women's basketball, Coach Tony Dukes. Coach Dukes, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Just enjoying this nice weather we got over here. Had a
Yeah,
few rainy days, you know what I mean?
I know. That's right. That's
So
good.
I like to jump into our little conversation here. So let's take it back all the way to the beginning. At what point did you realize that basketball was more than just basically a game for you and that you wanted to turn this passion into a career?
I started playing basketball at a really young age. Born in Chicago, the Bulls era. My dad was all Bulls. We all played basketball. So, I grew up playing and it got serious ever since I was a kid. My dad, if I wanted to do it, my dad really pushed me, and my parents took me to games, took me to AAU games, took me to workouts. So it was never a matter of if I wanted to do it. It was like I'm going to do this. So I had to figure it out and work hard and work my butt off. So.
So while you were playing, were you one of those kids that were like inspired by that Gatorade commercial and you wanted to be like Mike, or was there like another sports figure or another NBA player who you wanted to model your game after?
I wouldn't say it was be like Mike from the Gatorade commercial, but I did watch every Bulls game that came on TV as a kid. And then immediately went in my room and tried to do some of the stuff that Mike was doing. So that was just my childhood, and me and my dad, our relationship, that's what we did growing up. So I didn't never think I was going to get into coaching, but I knew I wanted to be around basketball my entire life. So, and it's paid off so far.
So I don't want to go a little off topic here, but I just wanted to hear, since you grew up watching Mike and like that generation of basketball, my mom always would tell me stories how like it doesn't matter how much time is left on the clock, how much he's down, he's always going to go out there and try and like come back and win the game. Because you get like really pissed off when like you see teams with like the whole fourth quarter and teams start like emptying their bench, and she's like, Mike would never have done that back in the day. So like I just want to see like, your perspective on that.
Mike is a different animal. He's a huge competitor. It doesn't care if you're a kid or an adult or a grandma. Like it doesn't matter. So I love that fierce competitiveness. And it's good to see it's starting to come back around now with the SGAs. Like just a lot of these newer kids are starting to get that chip again, and I really love the competitiveness, and it's going to be really good for our game moving forward.
So you trained over 1,000 athletes at Bball 101 and spent time coaching and doing film sessions as well. How did this experience basically prepare you for such an elite coaching positions?
Um, you know, I never intended on getting in coaching. I always promised my mother that I would graduate before I went to play professionally overseas. Due to me transfer, I started off at a junior college, went to a Division I school, South Carolina Upstate, where I played with Torrey Craig. And then I transferred and played D2 my last 2 years at Clayton State University. So I was behind a half a semester. So I was not going to leave because I promised my mom I would graduate. So I wasn't going to leave and go overseas. I finished school. And during that time, I started training with my godfather, Dorian Lee, who was over B-Ball 101. And I really started to train different people, train professional athletes, women, men, it didn't matter, kids. So, and I think I became really good at it and became more confident at it, and was just learning as I went day by day, learning from Dorian. And I never thought that it would take me or give me the opportunity to get into coaching, like it has, and bring me this far. So it's been a blessing for sure.
So you mentioned you actually played overseas. Like, what was that experience like in playing in different countries and experiencing such like a different style of life?
Well, I wish I did play overseas. It's not a regret. I did get the chance to go over there. I went to France, have a connect over there in France, where I went over there for about a week and a half. and tried out and got it, was going to have an opportunity to play, but I wasn't going to make very much money. And at the time, I was already training, making good money. You know what I'm saying? And growing in that area in that coaching field. So I decided to, go ahead and get into the coaching realm. I was actually training a guy during that time who was about to retire from basketball. And I said, what are you going to do now that you're done playing basketball? And he said, I think I'll try to go be a GA somewhere. So I was like, well, maybe I should go ahead and get started now. And then I'll have a 10-year jump on all of my peers. So it was a blessing. I didn't know why I made that decision then, but now I see, it's brought me this far. And now a lot of my peers who are about to retire now are calling, asking me, how did you get in that game? So it's amazing that you're doing what you're doing with this platform and getting people's stories out there.
So you were actually a grad assistant for the Louisville women's team. How did that experience like kind of shape your understanding of what it means to be a coach at the college level?
Uh, I went in blind. All I knew was player development. I didn't know anything about the video aspect because, especially coming from a low mid major, in Division II, a lot of the coaches didn't have those sport code resources that, that people have now. So, I just went in there. I actually learned how to use sport code on YouTube and picking people's brains here and there, learning how to use synergy and figuring out how to combine, uh, the video aspect with the player development aspect. And, I just found my niche essentially that helped me stand out from other people to help me move up in this business.
So do you recall like one of the first like scouts that you had to do at the college level?
Actually thankful for my head coach Jeff Walls. He gave me an opportunity, saw me training in the gym and loved what I was doing and was able to get me up to Louisville and be there for 2.5 years and get my master's. And actually he gave me my first scout against Clemson. I was a nervous wreck because he said if I didn't win, it was my ass and I was gonna be fired. So I was like, oh man. But luckily we did a good job and the girls they pulled it out for me.
One of the craziest things, like my experience, like being on like the player side and seeing like my coaches do all these scouts. So I was like, since I talked to like a bunch of like video coordinators and like you guys at like this NBA level, I had like kind of like piqued my interest. I wanted to see like how my coaches did all the scouts. So I asked one of my assistant coaches, Coach Ben. He walked me through it, like every single like action and like every single thing. He's tons of game film on the team that we were preparing for. Had a huge packet, a huge notebook written down. He was showing me how to like break up clips and all that stuff. And I was asking him, do you ever like, is there ever a point in the game where you make adjustments and like scrap like whatever like defense that we're in? And he was like, yeah, of course, you got to like play on the fly. So from that scout that you did, were you ever like thinking like, oh man, like if they counter this, then we have to like scrap this and like kind of like adjust on the fly?
Oh, absolutely not. I was a chicken with my head cut off during that scout, so I was very new to it. I just going from the
Mhm.
video world where you're just making clips and edits and personnel
Yeah.
to having to make sure what are the best defensive schemes for this scout, what should we run against them? You're not thinking at that level, especially when it's your first time. So I have definitely, evolved in that area and gotten better over the course of the my career. Where now I do see that and I do that prior to doing my scouts. So I make my adjustments before the game now. So I know exactly what I want to go to if they do X or if they do Y.
So you spent time as an assistant coach and video coordinator for the Lakeland Magic. That was must have been like a huge step for you in your career. So can you talk a little about what it was like making that jump to the G League? And just take me through what was it like that on the day to day for those jobs?
So I mean, one of my mentors, Jay Hernandez, who was actually an assistant for the Orlando Magic during that time. They played a preseason game in Indiana, and I went to the game. He left me tickets, and I was about to graduate. It was my last year at Louisville, and he asked what was I going to do? I was like, shoot, try to get an assistant job somewhere. And he was like, would you want to be in the video room for the Magic? I was like, absolutely. Like, that sounds awesome. He's like, we always look for guys who know how to play, but can do the video as well. And he knew I knew how to do the sport code and work it. So, so thankful for him and our relationship and him helping me get that opportunity. I was able to fly down and meet with Frank Vogel, and I wasn't able to get with the Orlando Magic, but they liked me enough to the point where, the Lakeland Magic was about to get started, and I got a chance to work with Anthony Parker. Happy birthday to him as well today, and Adetunji Adedipe, the GM and assistant GM there, who are still working with the Magic. So, they gave me an opportunity to, go out there and be a video coordinator and have a voice as an assistant coach. It was a lot of growth and development for me. I was able to work there with Coach Stan Heath, who's now at Eastern Michigan. Um, and it was a really great opportunity to, pour into those guys and, just learn the game from college to the pro level. Because I had never seen it at that level because I never played it, but to be able to see the work that goes into it was actually a really, really great experience for me. And then lastly, Anthony Parker he gave me all types of opportunities to do different roles within the program. I always ask him, why does he choose to be in the front office versus coaching? Because I think he's a great basketball mind, but he always told me about stability. So I was like, you know what? Maybe one day I will be in the front office. So he afforded me the opportunity to still do work, front office work. I was sending scouting
Wow.
player personnel reports to the front office, and just building my portfolio. So just keeping that open mind and doing different things. And it's amazing. I'm still doing that to this day now in the NIL era. Having to essentially recruit or, every year with free agency. So, it was a great opportunity for me.
Funny thing you mentioned NIL, that made me pique a question here. What is your take on it? Like it kind of really makes like the college game is basically pro basketball now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely pro basketball. I think that, from my perspective, being able to work around professionals, pros act a little differently. So, it's our jobs now to teach the players now, the student athletes now, how to become pros while they're still getting paid, So it's a certain level of how you act and how you approach the game now as a professional and when you're getting paid. So, that's the big deal about us teaching them how to be professionals now.
I I think it's a phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal for college athletes finally getting paid, but I do think like pro sports is actually kind of like will suffer from it. Like if, like guys will stay in college and like make more money than just go into the draft and like potentially get like a minimum deal or like a regular rookie salary. Like I remember I saw something like this year's NBA draft is like the lowest number of like
Yeah.
kind of like draftees like players like in the pool basically.
Absolutely. I saw that same thing and I mean it makes sense if you can make more money in college than going to the NBA and being a second round pick and not making as much, like why not stay in college and make the money while you can unless you're a lottery pick, so to speak. So
Yeah,
it
we
makes it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, we see a lot of like those smaller type guards who are like superstars in college, and then they go to the NBA, and then like they're like on a two-way contract and like not really a guaranteed contract. It is smart, like let me get paid in college and be like a
Yeah.
star player, you know what I mean?
It makes all the sense to me. I'm like, go for it, man. Make that money while you can, because once you hit that pro route, listen, it's a dog eat dog world out there. It's only so many positions for you.
So after your after your positions with the Lakeland Magic, you moved on to the San Antonio Spurs in the 2018-2019 season as a video assistant. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in the Spurs organization and being under Coach Popovich?
Ah man, Coach Pop was awesome, man. It was just to be able to work with under a leader like that, and just learn and pick his brain and see how things were ran was, huge for me. Everything was really regimented, in order, had structure, and I really, really loved that aspect about him. And it was a great experience. I didn't know the detail that went behind, the video room in the NBA. I mean, everything was so structured. And I had to learn that from a video coordinator position, that I never been through before to that time at that level at least. So being able to work with those guys in the video room and teach me all the different things that went on to building a great scout, the details in the scout, making sure everything was on point and ready for the coaches to go was huge, and I really enjoyed that experience.
So like there's a term that's thrown around like basketball, college level, and as well as the NBA. That term culture, it really like speaks to me in a way. So when we talk about like culture in the NBA, like they bring up like Heat culture and Spurs culture is like two of like the best like organizations, first class in the NBA. What was it like to be a part of Spurs culture?
Well, Spurs culture is player development, as you can see, and I have to give props to Chip England, who is now with OKC Thunder, and being able to take young kids and build them in their player development, using the G League as a route to get guys better and prepare for the big stage. He took that same approach over there to OKC, and you can see where it's led them to now. So. I think the Spurs culture is huge on player development, and essentially I love player development. I think that's what my heart is. That's where my heart is at. So I take that with me every day, and even now where I am, I try to make sure player development is a huge emphasis.
What would you say your player development philosophy is?
Just day by day, man. It's detailed. I like to watch film and see what people's or players' weaknesses are. Uh, Most people don't or can't articulate what their weaknesses are. So it's my job to go in and figure out what it is that they need to improve and how they can improve. Um, it's amazing when you do have players that know their weaknesses and know what they want to do and know what the player that they want to become. I love players like that because it makes my job easier. But yeah, that's where I hold my hat.
So in 2019, you ended up joining the Los Angeles Lakers as a basketball ops coaching associate and an advanced scout. What was basically your reaction when you first got the call to join the NBA, one of the NBA's most historic franchises?
Oh man, it was great, and it's just like amazing how things work out. Just by being genuine and the person you are. Um, like I said, I when I went to from the Louisville to Orlando for an interview, I got a chance to meet with Frank Vogel, and although I didn't get that job, I always stayed connected with Frank, and while I was in the G League, I always would come say hello to him, have a beer after the game, just chop it up and network. So we built that relationship, and then once Frank got the job with the Lakers, I was able to go to NBA Summer League, and see some of my same coworkers from the Orlando Magic who he took with him to the Lakers. And I was like, man, I'm interested. I would love to come out. And next thing you know, I was on a flight to LA. So it was like surreal. It was a surreal moment for me.
So that 2019-2020 Lakers team was basically incredibly disciplined, had so many NBA veterans on it. Early on in that season, what basically stood out to you that made you believe like, yeah, this team is gonna go win a championship?
I mean, when you have, first of all, when you have LeBron on your team, you already that much closer. But having the vets, Rajon, having Dwight's on your team, those caliber players along with some of the young guys and Caruso there, like those guys really helped set the tone. I mean, it was amazing to see LeBron and Rondo, be coaches on the floor. Their IQ is so high, and as a coach, you really have to be on your P's and Q's because they will challenge you if you don't know what you're talking about. So I really enjoyed that aspect because I never seen it from that level before. So to be able to be around those guys really helped me, in my development as a coach.
One of the craziest stories that I remember hearing from that season was when the Lakers made the finals in the bubble and they were waiting to see who wins out of Miami and Boston. Told Rondo, he's like, I got Spo, you got Brad, because they knew exactly what both coaches were gonna run, what type of defense they were in, like how to pick each team apart perfectly. That was the craziest story I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm telling you, every game, every scout, every shoot around, that was LeBron and that was Rondo. I mean, they knew Bron knows every play that every team runs. Like, it's amazing. It's like, how do you know everything? He watches basketball every night. Like it's amazing. Like and Rondo's the same. Like it's just amazing to be around those type of guys that know that stuff as players, right? Not only like they're not even coaches yet. Like to know that as a player, like that just gives you a huge step on everybody else.
What was it like to see like the work ethic of LeBron James on the day-to-day basis?
I mean, like towards by the time I got there, Braun is Braun already. So just to see how he maintained, it was more important for him to maintain his body. Like he put a lot of time and money and resources into his body. So it was nothing for me to be one of the first ones in the gym at 7 o'clock and Braun's already there saying, "What's up?" So just to be around and see his approach and the professionalism he has to the game of basketball was huge. A lot of his stuff was maintenance and just making sure his body was good. So to be able to see that hard work that he put into it was pretty cool.
So, what were some of the biggest coaching or leadership lessons that you took away from being a part of that staff during that championship season?
I mean, like I said, it was easy to be around because first of all, you got one of the best players in the world on your team. And being able to deal with personalities, I think, is huge, especially when you have a lot of the personalities that we had on that team. So I would say that was probably one of the biggest things that I observed, being around in on the coaching staff, being able to talk and mingle, and get the best out of the players, who are all really good players at the same time. So.
So, looking back on that championship, though, you definitely must have a ring. What does it mean to like to you personally in your career to like say like, wow, like I won an NBA championship?
Yeah, I mean it's huge. I mean, it's crazy. I always told my mother as a player I never won anything, any championships, I should say. So I told my mother years ago, like maybe a couple years before I started working with the Lakers, I said, I don't think I can't buy a woman a ring until I get a ring of my own. So I didn't think it was gonna come that soon, but now it's like, I can start preparing for that next step in my life. So no, it was a great opportunity, man. I'm so blessed and fortunate to have had that opportunity to, be able to win that and be around those guys. So it was amazing.
That's crazy. I had that same conversation with my mom like the other day. I I said like yeah, like I redshirted my freshman year, so like I don't really and my team won the championship, so I don't really say like I won anything yet. So I'm like, yeah, I didn't win anything in high school. I really didn't win it like that in AAU. So I was like, I don't want to like end my like college career like that. Like give me like a championship or something like that to end off. So I can't call myself a winner yet. That's what I was saying to her, and she was like,
And you
"Man,
win, man. Basketball, winning comes in many different ways. You winning right now.
thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I need that championship though. I need a championship. It feels much better. Like it boosts the ego. You have yourself feeling a little
That's a little
swag.
something. That's a little something.
Shoot, if I were you and I wanted like an NBA championship, I wouldn't take that ring off ever. I would wear it like you see Kobe, like when he was sitting on the bench in Miami, he was flexing all five of the rings like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that's a flex that I'll never be able to imagine what that feels like, especially as a player.
you
So
got one, and it's a Lakers ring.
it
Wear
is,
that.
it is. I keep it hidden somewhere.
So after the Lakers, you took on a leadership role at Overtime Elite as a head video coordinator and as assistant coach as well.
Mhm.
How did that experience basically come about?
You know, I was working in the NBA for the Lakers, and I was to that point because I started my coaching career a little later than most. So by that time I was moving up in age, and it was time for me to move on my career, and try to get something a little bit more stable, so to speak, where I was making a little bit more money. So I actually heard about the league being made. Um, and I was working remote because of COVID. So that second year with the Lakers, I was working from home in Atlanta. So I was still being able to be around the basketball, still get that experience, but just not be there. So I was thinking about what my next move was going to be. And so I heard about the Overtime League and I saw it on LinkedIn and I was just like, they didn't tell me where the position was going to be at. I heard it was going to be between Atlanta and New York. So I said, you know what? I think I have a pretty good resume. Let me go ahead and send my resume in. And so I sent my resume in and they called me like 2 days later and I was on an interview and you know, was there with Kevin Ollie, Dave Lato. It was just an awesome, awesome experience. So I really enjoyed being there, being able to work with those young guys and a lot of those guys who are in the NBA right now. So it's been really good to be a part of that process.
So are there any like specific players or stories that stood out to you from that time?
Man, we had 30 kids, so working with the Thompson twins was huge in their development, working on their game to be able to take it to that next level where a lot of scouts and people didn't think that they were going to be able to make that jump. Don Barlow, who plays for Atlanta Hawks, just to be a part of that development and those guys who see those young guys work hard every day. And Alex Sarr, actually known Alex Sarr since he was like 9 years old when he
Wow.
was a short kid in France. When I went to France back in the day. And to see him come back as a 16, 17-year-old 7-footer was crazy. So it was really good to be a part of those guys, man. Jalen Martin, Bryson Warren, like all those guys. I don't want to. I can go on for days. Jayzion Gortman, like those guys, they were incredible, man, and I enjoy being around them.
Alex Sarr, man. I love his game actually. I was
Uh,
trying to interview him last year at Summer League, but then like he ended up like leaving the tunnel like too early after the game and didn't do like any of the scrums. And I was like, damn, man, I wanted to interview him so bad.
Maybe we can try to set that up for you one day.
That would be insane.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to act. I probably hype him up so much, like, man, you're a lottery pick and all that stuff.
yeah, man. He's a good kid, man. We share the same coach, Vincent Bassi, over in France. So, it's been a really good connection to have.
So he actually I like a lot of people like on social media and stuff like that were like going so hard on him saying like, oh yeah, he's like a boss and all that stuff. Like it's hard like making that like jump from like different levels, you know what I mean? It's like some guys like every player is different. What I realized like watching basketball and as well as like playing it, every player is different. Everyone's gonna like make their jump at like a certain point. And now you see him like in the season he bumped up into like the rookie leaderboard for rookie of the year. So it like proved all the doubters wrong.
No, it's crazy. I believe that, people don't like change. People didn't like the fact that kids weren't going to college anymore,
Yeah.
or they were finding other paths to get to the league and saying, oh, they went to overtime elite. They're not going to be good enough because they didn't go to college. Man,
Right.
we had some of the best development coaches over there, to help those guys get to that next level. So we knew it. Everybody knew it. It was just that we just had to wait for the world to figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. Like look what the Thompson twins did with like two of the most like those two franchises were like on the losing end of like the NBA for like so many years before this season. Like the Pistons won like what, like 6 games last season. And now you
Exactly.
see this season, they're both made the first round. The Rockets were like what, like the 2 or 3 seed in the West, I believe. And they're both focal points and seen as basically like untouchable by each organization. So yeah,
Yep.
like overtime elite like knows what they're doing, like as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm big on development. Player development is huge for me. I love player development. So, to be able to help guys and girls get to that level, that next level is huge. And you can see it pay off, especially if the kids dial in and work hard.
So in 2023, you returned to college basketball as an assistant coach for Mississippi State women's basketball. What basically motivated you to return to the college game?
When I was at Louisville, actually, my head coach here, Sam Purcell, he was an assistant at Louisville. When I got on campus, he loved everything that I did as far as helping develop the players, the girls, and helping them get to that next level. But he always told me when he got a head coaching job that he was going to give me a call. So during that time, 2023, I was still working at Overtime Elite and running my own player development business in Atlanta, called Tone Trained. It was doing really well. Have a lot of kids going through that program. Actually, one of which was on Team USA U16, AJ Williams, doing his thing. Really proud of him. But yeah, so he called me and I was just like, you always been loyal to me, so I'm gonna come and see what Mississippi State has to offer. So, and been here ever since. So, it's been great. I'm really thankful and appreciative to him for his loyalty and getting me out here.
So after working with like men's basketball for so many years, was it like a struggle at first to return back to the women's game in any way?
No, I wouldn't say that because I love the women's game. I don't see women, I don't see men, I see, hoopers. And if you can hoop, you can hoop. And if you want to work, you can work. So, I was still always training women during my time at OTE, while I was in Atlanta. So it was really good to still be able to get the best of both worlds. Like I said, I'm a big opportunist, and whoever presents a great opportunity for me, I'm gonna look at it and see if it's going to be good for me, and if it is, I'll take the jump. That doesn't disqualify me from being in the NBA or in men's college basketball just because I'm on the women's side because I can do them all, so it doesn't really matter to me.
I asked that question because many, like I had coaches and mentors like back when I was younger, and they said, and they would always tell me like, yeah, it's actually so different when I'm coaching you guys, and then I make a change and I'm now coaching like women's high school or women's AAU now. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, there is a difference. I mean, you take into consideration the athleticism, on the men's side, of course, you dealing with more guys above the rim, the physicality's crazy. Women's side not as athletic, but being here in the SEC, still some pretty athletic women. But just more of a having to have a different approach from the X and O standpoint, and being able to execute at a higher level, with women. I've noticed a difference. So that has been good for me to understand and see the difference. And it's also helped me out as a coach, whether I be on the men or the women's side.
An old trainer of mine, his name is Coach T. He moved down to North Carolina to coach for LaMelo Ball's like one of one program down there, and
Mhm.
he coaches girls now. And he was saying like, you guys didn't listen for Jack, man. Like these girls actually listen to what the hell I'm saying, man.
That is a huge part, man. The listening part is true. Um, That's the knock on men. The emotional part on the women's side is a little bit of a knock. So anytime you can find a good mixture of both is going to be, That's going to be a really good team.
When he told me that, I'm like, Coach, man, like we work on these shots. So yeah, if like a lot of times like I would tell him like if we see something like as a player, like you know this definitely, like a coach is gonna tell you like to run an action instead of being like robotic, you're like, hey, I work on this. Like I see a gap. Hey, I work on this. I see like an advantage of him overplaying me this way or something like that. But he would be like, man, I told you guys to run it to the T. And he was like, and these girls, they'll run it to the T, run the play or action into the ground until the defense breaks down, and then we're scoring layups and stuff like that. But yeah, there's kind of like that ego piece in the men's game where it's like I work on this, like I can like make that shot.
Yeah, come on, like, Coach. I see it going on right here, man. Like I can just break it off. Like as guys, we know it all, you know. So, and I think that's a huge thing. And but understanding when and how to use those things on the men's side is huge, and having that coach that understands that, whether it be on the men's or the women's side, you know, helps players go be the best player they can be in those circumstances.
So currently, what's your vision at Mississippi State to help them grow as a team and basically as individual athletes on and off the floor as well?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I came here, you know, really to help develop women and develop the game, while also trying to win at a high level. We were able to make the NCAA tournament this year. So, you know, the more that I can do on my end in helping our staff and our players develop on the court, um, the better we become as a team and the more opportunity that will be afforded to me in the future. So I just look, you know, I come to the gym every day, and if my kids want to work, they're going to get in and we're going to get better every single day.
What was it like to play in the NCAA tournament with this team?
Oh man, we did it. We made it to the NCAA tournament, and it was a great experience because I've been out of college basketball for years now. So I think what was the last time I went? 2017 with Louisville. So you know, it was a great experience. Just that vibe, that energy of March and going dancing was a great experience. So to be able to be back out there this year with this past March was a great experience for me.
You guys are in such a tough conference too. Like LSU was like on demon time for the last couple years. Like, what was it like playing against like Haley Van Lith and stuff like that?
Oh man, we that now that first year we actually beat Haley Van Lith.
Really?
Yeah, with Angel. That was a great experience. So we had ups and downs here at Mississippi State. But that was by far a highlight. Like a packed out women's game was incredible, man. It was really top notch.
So I know a lot of people like hate on Angel Reese and stuff like that, but I think she's a really good player as well. What was the scout like? How did you guys prepare for that type of matchup with her and Haley Van Lith?
So actually I make sure I go around campus and I get male practice players.
Okay.
And I look for, of course, men that are players that can play a little bit, but who have length. So I actually had a lefty kid who was about 6'5", who did her to a T. He was rebounding, missing. I said, I need you to miss everything at the basket, get the rebound, and put it back up again. Because that's what she does. She doesn't quit on the boards.
Mhm.
So he did a really good job of impersonating her, and like it was a fun time, and everybody wanted that win, and they dialed in and got it done.
I'm actually pretty close with like two of the girls on like my school's women's team. So one and they're both really good friends of mine. So one of them, her name is Ava. She had a really bad game, like played awful, was playing like soft. So I'm like, dude, you got to come work out with me again when I'm on layup lines because we play right after them. She's like, yeah, man, I know. So then I go in there the next day with her when we're back on campus. I'm like, all right, so this whole week I'm gonna be the best player you play against. So she's a point guard. So I started like doing like a one-on-one drill. Like I guard like the Kobe one-on-one drill. So it's like I pick her up at half, being physical and stuff like that, trying to poke the ball, and I'm like, you only have this half of the court. I split the court in two, so I'm like, you have this whole side to like try and get to the rim, score on me in any way, and like kind of like doing different chair drills, advantage drills, kind of get like the physicality, so she'll understand like the different reads. So connect to your point there. I really do think having male practice players is like kind of like a vital point for like like a women's program because if you can like deal with like a strength of a man, like it's easy when you go out there on the floor.
Absolutely. If you can deal with the strength and the speed of a man, I mean, it makes the game almost easier. So, I love it. I love it when we have our girls that don't say, oh, you're a boy. They're not gonna, nah. If you can go against him, you can go against any woman in this league. So, I love the mental approach to that every day in practice when we have those guys out there.
I'll kind of go a little overboard though. I would like talk so much trash to girl like wanted to leave the gym and stuff like that. But
Listen,
then it worked.
I do a little bit. I do a little bit of that myself. If I get out there, every now and again, I might get out there and practice with them, see, just to get a little cardio in.
I'll be blocking shots and stuff like that. I was like, I could BS this and I could score on you. Like say like crazy stuff like that. It's all fun and games though. Like she knows that. That was hilarious though.
For sure.
So I haven't worked across the NBA, G League, youth development, and now college hoops. How would you describe your coaching style today?
Um, I'm really huge on detail, and like I said, I hang my hat on the development, player development, um, and just team culture. It's amazing. I give this example to you with my kid AJ Williams, who was on USA Team 16U, just to go out there and be selfless, like be the ultimate team player but don't take the backseat to anyone. You know what I'm saying? Still be aggressive, but make the right play. Play basketball the right way. I think a lot of times, this day and age, kids look at players in the NBA and what they see on TV and they just want to ISO one-on-one. And it's more to it than that. Like it's about the skill. Can you make the right play? Can you make the right pass? Can you keep your handle without turning the ball over? Can you be that great teammate? Are you pouting on the bench? All right. Are you fun to be around? Are you fun to play with? So, that's the type of style that I like to have. And one day when I am a head coach, I will implement those type of behaviors in my program.
So, what are your long-term aspirations in coaching? Do you see yourself back in the NBA, leading a college program, or basically just staying focused on the development aspect?
I take things day by day. I do want to coach again. Well, not coach again, but coach, be a head coach one day. I'm not so sure about the NBA. This just the wear and tear on your body, the 82 game plus playoffs, and even now you look at it, it's like, man, you can have a really great year and still get fired.
Yeah.
So, I'm big on stability and being able to be somewhere. I want to have a family one day and not have to uproot them all the time. So, I do want to be a head coach one day, and whether it be men, whether it be women, college, if it's a great high school program one day, that's a great opportunity. Like I said, I'm a huge opportunist, and if the opportunity fits and it's a good fit for me and my family, I would be interested, whether it be men, women, high school, college, and move on from there. And still, I still love the front office opportunity. I still get a chance to work on those. I write reports on players in the portal all the time. So being able to still work on that while I'm in college now. So it's funny how the game has changed and I'm able to still do all the things that I was doing, even when I was in the G League. So I just put all of my experiences together and keep working and building my portfolio and getting better and better every day. And when the right opportunity comes about and it fits, I'm gonna be about that life.
So, since you coach in the SEC and it is the off season right now, what does the off season at Mississippi State look like right now? Are players back on campus or summer workouts going on?
Yep, yep. So we're summer workouts right now. We get 4 hours a week. And players come in. We do a lot of individual group work, some team work, but like I said, we only get 4 hours on court. So being able to, get our players prepared, for what they'll see coming in August and once the season start is a jump start right now. So we just helping them develop on things that they want to get better at, what we feel they need to improve on to help our team win next season.
Well, Coach Dukes, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I wish you the best luck with this off season as well as the upcoming season, sir.
Ashton, man, this is great, man. I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, and if you need anything, reference, endorsement, I got you, man. I love what you're doing, especially at your age, man. Keep it up.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.